All right, so week 1, they're in Detroit. Week 2, Philly. This is interesting. This is another team that's in flux. First year freaking head coach. Who is their quarterback? Is it Jalen Hurts? Nick Sirianni's the coach. Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. This is a team that beat the Niners last year in Levi's.
Yeah.
Also, I think the most interesting thing about this matchup is that it's a road game after a road game. They go from Detroit, which is in the Eastern time zone, to Philly, which is even further.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do they stay in Youngstown? What they've noticed is staying in Youngstown helps for this game, but it really sets you back for the next game. Because then you've spent basically 2 weeks on the East Coast. Your body clock has changed. You go back to the West Coast, boom, jet lag, and it lasts. And if you remember, 2 years ago, they won their first 2 road games. 2019, they started off in Tampa. They went to Cincinnati, won both, stayed in Youngstown in between, came back, played Pittsburgh, turned the ball over 5 times.
Barely won.
Basically sleptwalked through the game, won anyway. So the question is, should they stay in Youngstown? Do they need to stay in Youngstown to beat Philly?
This is interesting, man, because you have a different perspective. I think fans, honestly, I'll speak for myself. I think a lot of fans, we kind of, the road, the home, the travel, we hear it, but I think we underrate it, honestly. We don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, okay, yeah, you're on the road, da-da-da. You're there, you're seeing it you're seeing it more up close, and you have a different perspective on it. It is important, huh? I mean, just personally, when you're traveling, when you're away from your family, there's these little things that they play a role.
But just think about it this way: the NFL there's so much parity. All the players are so close to each other in terms of how good they are. They all run a 4.5. They're all 230 pounds. Yeah. The difference in what makes winning and losing that week is little things like bounce of the ball or which 53 guys are a little bit fresher that week. You know, if one team all has a little bit of jet lag, well, that's going to be a factor considering the other team doesn't, you know?
Yeah.
So they may not need to stay in Youngstown to beat the Eagles. That being said, if you drop the game to the Eagles, what did you just do? I mean, it's a tough one. Maybe you don't take it for granted. You stay in Youngstown, you win that game, and you deal with the fallout afterward.
That's interesting because what everybody says, what every coach will tell you, and every player will tell you, if you practice is so important. This is another thing I think fans probably underrate. They say if you practice good, you usually play good. I've heard that a lot. I mean, you tell me.
Yeah.
And the travel, it affects play, but it could affect practice a great deal, right? If your mind's not in it, if you're not locked in, if you don't have your routine. Football players are they're creatures of habit, right? They have a lot of them they have a routine. I wake up at this time, I work out here, I eat here, I do my meetings here, I practice. It's you want to have everything organized and you want to have your schedule and you want to get to sleep. And if that gets thrown off and shifted around and maybe you're not practicing well, practice is very important for these games, man. And how can travel throw off practice?
Well, I mean, it can throw off just your ability to maintain your routine. I mean, if you're that much of a creature of habit, all of a sudden now you got to change everything. Now you're in another bed. Your sleep might be thrown off. Your hydration might be thrown off. All the little things that you have on lock at home. Maybe your wife is the one who monitors and makes sure you eat the right things, or you go to sleep at the right time. Who knows? A lot of time, these wives are like the player's manager. It's like, hey, you eat now. You go to bed now. You live now. And if they're on the road, like, are they at Hooters? Are they at the club? You never know what they're doing. These dudes are
Youngstown.
24, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know. I bet you there's a Hooters in Youngstown. But then Hooters is a family place. I've never been to Hooters, so I don't really know. But you know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you're a millionaire, you're 24, you're on the road, and just the routine's a little off. If you don't have leadership on the team, you don't have a strong head coach, you're on your own, man. And some of these kids aren't mature and responsible the way others are. So, this
Eagle game, what do you think the Eagles bring to the table? I see them as they've always been kind of a scrappy team, but they had a head coach and they had Jim Schwartz, who was a scrappy D coordinator.
Here's the way I look at the Niners. I mean, the Niners' first 2 weeks, they lucked out. Even though they're on the road, week 1, new head coach.
Yeah.
Week 2, new head coach.
I know.
These guys, they might get their feet under them by the end of the year, but usually new head coaches struggle. Most of them.
Rough.
Kyle went 1-10.
Yeah.
I went 1-10. So Nick Sirianni, Kyle's going to school you, man.
You
are
want
going to
play
be
these teams on the road. You want these
Oh,
to
yeah.
be road games for sure.
What Nick Sirianni's going to do is he's going to make D'Amico Ryans look like a freaking genius.
Yeah, D'Amico's his stock's going to be way up after 2 weeks.
Oh yeah,